Hey everyone, this is Princess Anime 64 and welcome back to my character analysis series, and in today's video we are going to be talking about Trey from Final Fantasy Type 0, so let's get started. So looking at Trey's profile, his crystal affinity is blue, he uses bows, and his spears are A, and E. His roles are ranged, attacker, debuffer, and trap unit. So for his stats, at level 1 he has 950 HP, 180 initial brave, 500 max brave, 180 attack, and 170 defense. When he's fully maxed out, his HP goes up to 11,298, initial brave is now 4,403, max brave goes up by 9,880, his attack goes up by 3,336, and defense by 3,956. So for his overall stats here, his high points are his attack, his initial brave, his speed, his max brave, and defense are on the neutral side, and then his lowest stats is his HP. So looking at Trey's skills, his first skill is called Raining Arrows. It's a 2-hit AoE range brave HP attack. It deals split damage and grants accurate arrow for 3 turns, and it grants the effect Arrow Shower for 1 turn. This will also become Raining Arrows charge 1 on the next turn if it isn't used. So with the Arrow Shower effect, it reduces the count by 1, and then it triggers Arrow Shower, which is an AoE range brave HP attack that does split damage, and it grants allies brave based on the HP damage dealt, but it doesn't trigger knockback, and the accurate arrow buff will raise Trey's max brave and his attack. His second skill is called Dynamite Arrow. It's a 2-hit range brave HP attack, and the target will be inflicted with the special effect Dynamite. This will also grant accurate arrow for 3 turns, and this will change into Dynamite Arrow charge 1 if it's not used on the next turn. So Dynamite, its effect goes down by 1 every turn, and then it will trigger Dynamite, which is a 2-hit range brave HP attack, raises brave by 50% of HP damage dealt, and it doesn't trigger a knockback. Then we have his C65 ability down here, which is called Ability Recovery Attack Up. So this will restore Raining Arrows and Dynamite Arrow by 1 use of its upper limit, or of its marginal limit, and it raises attack for 4 turns. Going over to the extensions, so Raining Arrows will have a +2 use, and then Raining Arrows charge 1, it will add 2 brave hits, and it will deal more damage, and it has a 150% max brave overflow. On the next turn, so when Raining Arrows charge 1 is not used, it will become Raining Arrows charge 2, and this will add 6 brave hits. It exceeds the max brave overflow limit, and Arrow Shower will get 1 extra duration, and it boosts the brave granted based on HP damage, and then returns 2 Raining Arrows after use. As for Arrow Shower, so when Arrow Shower triggers, it adds 2 brave hits, and it has a 120% max brave overflow. For the Dynamite Arrow extension, you also get a +2 use, and Dynamite Arrows charge 1 will add 2 brave hits and a 150% max brave overflow. And then it mentions here, when Dynamite Arrow charge 1 is not used, it becomes charge 2 instead. So charge 2 will have a greater boost in brave damage, it raises max brave overflow limit, deals 50% splash damage, and then returns to Dynamite Arrow after use. Continuing on, so when Dynamite triggers, it will add 4 brave hits instead, and it has a 120% max brave overflow, and then Accurate Arrow will turn Brave Attack into Brave Attack Plus, which grants the party brave based on attack, and it will add 2 hits. Okay, so now for the artifacts. So as usual, you want to go for Attack 108 and Max Brave 330, the usual combo. For his unique passives, the one I would recommend the most out of all of these would be the Erudite Archer boost. So Erudite Archer is his Crystal 50, and this will raise his Max Brave and attack by 5% while Accurate Arrow is active. And because both of his skills trigger Accurate Arrow, it does help to have a lot of these on him. A lot of these artifacts on him, so that you can keep raising up his max brave and attack more. It does also help if you go for Mighty Raining Arrows or Mighty Dynamite Arrow, but the one I would recommend the most would be the C50 artifact. Going over to Trey's gear, his 15 CP is called the Hunter's Bow. So when using Raining Arrows charge 1 or charge 2, it will add a brave damage boost, raises brave damage on single targets, and adds a +3 duration to Accurate Arrow. And then when Arrow Shower triggers, when Arrow Shower triggers, you get a brave damage boost, deals more damage to single targets, and the boost to brave is increased based on the HP damage dealt to the allies. Then we have his 35 CP, which is the Wind Slash Bow. So using Dynamite Arrow charge 1 or charge 2 will deal more brave damage, and it adds a +3 duration to Accurate Arrow. Next we have his EX weapon, which is called the Thanatos Bow, and this will grant him the EX ability called Grand Delta. It's a 5-hit AoE range Brave HP attack. It deals more Brave damage to single targets and has a 150% max Brave overflow. It deals split damage and it inflicts Fatal Arrow for 1 turn. And what Fatal Arrow does, if we zoom in over here, so Fatal Arrow, it makes taking Brave attacks will inflict a break, and it also raises Brave damage taken when broken. So if you're attacking a enemy who is already broken, they're gonna deal more. You're gonna deal more Brave damage essentially. Next up we have his 35 CP armor, which is called the Dominion's Chestplate. This will add 110 to his initial Brave and 72 to his attack. Then we have his 90 CP armor, which is the Archery Glove. This will add 680 to his HP and an additional 220 to his max Brave. And then when you realize it, it will add an extra 72 to his attack and an extra 84 to his defense. Then we have the EX passives for his EX. So at 1 out of 3, this will raise Brave damage with dealt by Grand Delta. At 2 out of 3, you get a +2 duration of Fatal Arrow. And then at 3 out of 3, it raises recast speed. Alright, so now we're going to talk about the realized passives for Trey's EX. So at 0 out of 3, you get Grand Delta Force Advance. This will add a tremendous Brave damage boost and it raises max Brave overflow limit. At 1 out of 3, you get Inescapable Gaze Extension Attack Boost Up. So this will raise his max Brave and his attack when you have his EX Plus equipped, or the Inescapable Gaze ability. Then at 2 out of 3, we have Accurate Arrow and Charge 1 starting recast max. So you start the quest with the Accurate Arrow buff for 6 turns, and you have the EX skill ready, and Raining Arrows and Dynamite Arrow will already have a Charge 1 to them. Then at 3 out of 3, we have Grand Delta Brave HP Hit plus Force Plus. So this will become let me just zoom up right over here. So it becomes a 5-hit AoE range Brave HP attack delivered twice, and it deals more Brave damage. HP attack will change into HP attack plus, which will just be a 2-hit range Brave HP attack with a 120% max Brave overflow. HP attack charge 1 will change into HP attack plus charge 1. So this adds 2 Brave hits and a 120% max Brave overflow, and then returns into HP attack plus after use. So then when HP attack plus charge 1 is not used on the next turn, it will change into HP attack plus charge 2. There's a boost to the Brave granted based on max Brave, and it adds 3 Brave hits, it raises max Brave overflow limit, and then returns to HP attack plus after use. Then we have his A Spear, which is called Break Attack Boosts Longer. So this raises max Brave and attack by 5% for 6 turns when inflicting a break. Alright, so now we're going to go over Quistis' EX Plus passives. She's also getting an EX Plus for this event. So at 0 out of 3, she gets Homing Whip Force debuff plus Chain HP. So it deals greater Brave damage, and it triggers an additional HP damage without the conditions being met. And the target will be will be inflicted with Fading Light for 4 turns. So before the EX Plus, when you did Quistis' EX, she either needed to be at the exact amount of max Brave or go higher in order to trigger the HP attack, but now she doesn't have to do that, which is such a lifesaver. So then at 1 out of 3, she gets Traces of Light Pursued Extension Attack Boost Up. So this raises max Brave and attack when equipping the EX Plus or the passive Traces of Light Pursued. And then at 2 out of 3 here, we have Homing Whip Spread Up, Buff Up, Debuff starting. So you start the quest with Instructor's Whip for 6 turns, and the enemies start with the Fading Light debuff for 4 turns. And then Homing Whip will also deal splash damage, and Instructor's Whip will raise the party's granted Brave limit and the stolen Brave limit as well. So then at 3 out of 3, we have Homing Whip Brave Hit plus Force Brave Up. So this will add 10 Brave hits to Homing Whip, and it grants allies bravery based on the HP damage dealt to the target. Then we have her E-Spear, which is Debuff Success Boost All Longer. So this raises the party's max Brave by 5% for 6 turns when inflicting a debuff. Okay, so now for the boss, we have the Evil Gaze. You're going to be fighting 2 of these things, and they are Gala Cat type enemies. So some of their usual attacks, they have like Arrow, Aeroga Plus, they have Group Aeroga, and they also have Ram. But exclusive attacks to this boss, we have Gliding Leg, which is a melee brave attack with a high turn rate. The plus variant will inflict a break, and then double plus will raise its turn rate. And then we have Dusk Wing, where it's an AoE Dark Magic Brave attack that removes debuffs, except for frames, and it grants Party Brave and lowers Max Brave. The plus variant will also inflict break. or sorry, the plus variant inflicts the break, I should say. Then we have Helical Dive. It's a melee brave attack that delays the turn by 2. And then Helical Dive Plus, it will just inflict a break. So you can kind of see the gimmick here. The plus variants will always like inflict a break. So those are the ones you want. Those are the attacks you want to watch out for. Then we also have Black Candela, so this will recover from a break and then follows up with a Magic Brave HP attack that will lower initial Brave. We have Run Wild, where it will raise its attack and speed. Run Wild Plus will raise its attack and speed a lot more. When it's tired, it will cancel the attack and speed boost from Run Wild, and it lowers defense and speed. With Begrudge, it's the same thing, but it just lowers defense and then raises its turn rate. With Rallying, it will cancel the attack and speed buff and then the turn rate boost from Tire and Begrudge. And then when it's Beating Wings Ominously, it will raise all of its stats. And then more ominously, oh wait, sorry, there we go. Beating Wings more ominously, it will raise its stats even more. Okay, so some alternatives for Trey's event, or like for the co-op or for chaos difficulty. For starters, you can use Charlotta. She will also have Lost Chapter Synergy. She will have Lost Chapter Synergy for Trey's event. Her Lost Chapter just came back, and she's got EX plus 2, and she's, well, no, she's already at level 70, I think. But yeah, you can use her. You could also use any character who has, like, some new EXs, so someone like Kater or Saz or Raijin. You could use Leo to try and, like, delay the enemies as well. You could use Garnet as well if you wanted to play with Imperils. Or you could just go with Aranea, since, that's what everyone likes to run, I guess, on their chaos fights. So now I'm going to head over to Opera Omnia JP, and I'm going to showcase Trey's skills. So give me a quick second. Okay, we're back in Opera Omnia JP. We are actually on X-Death's Lost Chapter here. So here's the team right now. So I've got Trey, I've got Quistis, and I've got Fran with me here. We're mainly going to show off Trey and Quistis for this. Just nothing else, though. Fran, I guess, will just be along for the ride. Okay, so we're gonna start off with Raining Arrows, yeah, there we go. So as you can see, now he's got the, the arrow shower effect on him. So now I'm gonna do a Brave attack right here. So now that it's gone, wait for it, they all get hit with arrows, and it's pretty cool. Alright, so now we're going to do, so yeah, now Raining Arrows has a charge 1 to it, and Dynamite Arrow now has a charge 2, because I didn't use it before. So now we're gonna start with a Dynamite Arrow now. Okay, so now you can see this little blinking arrow effect right over here on Kuja. So that is the Dynamite effect. So I'm just gonna do a normal Brave attack with Fran here. Now it hits to 0, and there we go. So in a way, you can see Trey's kind of like the Emperor when you think about it, with all the little booby traps that he can inflict with his skills. Alright, so now, the big question. So, should you pull for Trey? So if you have a reason to, there's like a couple of good reasons. So for starters, he is a good DPS unit, and he's a great support for the team, and he does have his traps. They activate a lot faster than the Emperor's does, whereas because like comparing him to the Emperor, you would need to wait for his turn before you can inflict the traps, or for the enemy's turn. Sorry, let me rephrase that. You either use the Emperor so that you can just inflict the traps again, or you would wait for the enemy turn for the traps to go off. But with Trey, it's a lot more faster, and you don't have to wait each time. And then for reasons not to pull, a good reason could be because you're focused on Quistis right now, you just want to use her. And I should also mention, I think around at this time, Quistis also gets a rework, so now, as you can see here, I forget, I think it was called Laser Whip. Laser Whip is now a HP attack, just like that. So that's really nice. And then another reason you may not want to pull, so if you're following JP news, Burst and LD era is like right around the corner, so you want to like save up for that. I don't blame you though, because they are a lot of fun to use. And I will have a video showcasing the first burst weapons that will be coming to Global. So that covers up everything for Trey's video. Thank you guys very much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you all in my next video. Okay, I just realized that as soon as I ended the video, I didn't show off the EX, so we're doing this again, and now we're going to show off Grand Delta. And he's going to turn around because cool guys don't look at explosions, apparently. But yeah, so that pretty much covers it up. And if the boss would have lived through that, then it would have had the fatal arrow debuff on them.